The CSS position. The position property specifies the type of positioning method used for an element. There are 5 different position values that we can specify for this property position, which is we have the static, we have the relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky. And let's dive for them one by one. Once you define this position property, values elements are then positioned using the top, bottom, left, and right properties. However, these property will not work unless the position property is set first. They also work differently depending on the position value. So our first position, let's start with the static. But first of all, let's make like a random here text, for example, like with a p lorem text, save it, and let's make 2 another elements here with the ID of box1, for example, set and paste it down box2. There we go. So let's go to our CSS file here to style it and mention our box1 here. Let's give it like a border here just to see it, border of 2 pixel solid black for the color, and give it a height of like 200 pixel, and width also we like 200 pixel, and let's give it also a background color, whatever color that you would like. Save it, and here we go. And let's make the same for our box 2 here, just to see it in our, let's see visually in our web page here. Save it and give it like another color here to make it just, we are picking up a color with the RGB here, and save it and make it like a smaller bit, just 100 for the width and 100 for the height. There we go. Now let's apply our first position, which is the static. So here let's do the static position, not relative. As you know, we have here 4 properties, which is the absolute, fixed, relative, static, sticky. And let's start with the static one. Save it, and here we go. So these HTML elements are positioned static by default, as you know. Static positioned elements are not affected by the top, bottom, left, or right. So whenever we specify here a property like, for example, a top with 50 pixel, it will not work because it's already positioned by default. So an element with the position static will not position in any special way. It's always positioned according to the normal flow of the page. Our next one will be position relative. Save it and see it applies here the property of top. If we do, for example, here like right, or let's make it left for 100 pixel or so, see it's moved down. So an element with the position relative is positioned relative to its normal position. So setting the top, right button, and left properties of the relatively positioned element will cause it to be adjusted away from its normal position, as you saw here. So other content will not be adjusted to fit into any gap left by the element. So our next position will be fixed. So, and this one is very useful in the web development field. Fixed. So an element with the position fixed is positioned relative to the viewport, which means it always stays in the same place even if the page is scrolled. So the top, right, bottom, and left property are not used to position the element. A fixed element does not leave a gap in a page where it should normally have been located. Notice the fixed element in the lower right corner of the page. So to see it better here, let's make a copy from our text here just to make the scrolling happening. Copy and paste it many times so the page it will be full of our text to be. So here's the magic of the fixed position. It's positioned relatively to the viewport, so it will stays in the same place even if the page is scrolling. And we have also position of absolute. Let's do this one and let's make it in our, for example here, let's add this box 2 inside. It will be nested inside the box 1. There we go. So the box 2, it will be the child of our box 1. Now, if we position this to absolute, we'll position it relatively to the nearest position ancestor. Instead of positioning it relative to the viewport like fixed, it will not. However, if an absolute positioned element has no position ancestors, it uses the document body and moves along with the page scrolling. So absolute position elements are removed from the normal flow and can overlap elements. Here is an example here. Let's do here. So that position absolute is like the ghost. It will be just like a virtual position absolute. Here we go. See, by default, it will be matched with the viewport. Let's make here like a top 200 pixel and save it. It will not match a bit. If we remove this one also and the left also here, so it will back to its box. And let's make it like left with like 10 pixel here and top of 20 pixels. So here it will match it with the viewport. And we have also the sticky position. So the sticky position here is very handy and is very useful also. An element with the position sticky is positioned based on the user's scroll position. So a sticky element toggles between relative and fixed. Depending on the scroll position, it is positioned relative until a given offset position is met in the viewport. Then it sticks in place like position fixed. So here is a note: you must specify at least one of the properties, top, right, bottom, or left, for sticky positions to work. Let's make here a top of 0, for example. And before that, let's change also the bit. There we go. And this one, let's copy it and paste it above here as a second element. Save it. And there we go. See, if we scroll down, it will stays there. Let's also make it upper a bit with the like here. Save it, and there we go. It will stay there with the top of our web page. So that's it. We covered all of our CSS important positions, from the absolute, fixed, relative, static, sticky, and all of them. We saw them in a practice. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.